Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mack Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and today we have special guest Leslie Bodine. Leslie started her business back in February of 1995 and built her business to debut in a leadership position in 1995, November. She has earned 15 cars in her career, saved over 200,000 car payments and insurance, earned over 18,000 of diamonds, including her bar pins and diamond rings. Leslie's led her team to their highest unit club, selling over 750,000 worth of products. And so her career has two unique parts. One side is mentoring women to create business plans that meet their needs while transferring their skills necessary to build a sustainable business. And the other includes customizing skincare routines, simple makeup tips, and treatments for women with their unique needs and age group in mind. So welcome to the show, Leslie.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you.
And actually, this show started after my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. I actually wrote the book in 2019 before we had the most crazy situation ever imaginable on our planet, at least in our lifetime, this crazy universal pause pandemic.
Universal pause. I like that.
So one of the questions I like to start off with is, do you have a time in your business or personal life that you could share with the audience where you hit a tough situation and how you got back on track?
Yes, I do, my friend. And I first want to share with you that I want to have a voice like yours when I'm doing introductions. That was the most beautiful I have heard. I was like swept away into it. So at 25 years in this business, yes, I have had multiple things happen in business and personal life. And I shared with you just a second ago that I'm going to choose one that doesn't actually make me cry. I'm still actually healing from some things that have been recent setbacks. Mm-hmm. And so the one that was very poignant and pivotal to me was, probably 15 years ago in my business. I had built to a leadership position. I wasn't yet at the highest level. It was called a Pink Cadillac top director. But I remember I was coming out of a relationship, a marriage, and it was something that he was not supportive of and would say some pretty brutal things to me, like, if this business really worked, wouldn't you be further along? If you were really a good leader, wouldn't there be more people still in your organization doing better? And those were really ugly things to hear. And they kind of stuck a little bit because it was somebody that I was married to. And so I truly believed, that, even though it was ugly, it was just like, well, maybe there's truth to that. And so it kind of stuck on me. And I remember I got so low that I was actually got my taxes done, and I was really embarrassed about what my earnings had been, knowing what I was capable of producing. And so I got out the newspaper, and I was looking in the newspaper for job ads. And crazy as it sounds, I hate to say this was this audible voice, but there was a very definite moment where I felt something come over me that said, what if you just worked like you're supposed to? What if you just respected your job? And after looking at different, positions, there was a big part of me that was like, gosh, I could nail this job. Oh my gosh. I could make way more than that. I'd be doing the same things I'm doing now. And so one of the first big things I think is that if you're not, the tip that I would share with someone is that if you're not willing to discipline yourself, someone else will.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was my first go around with understanding that when you are a personality type that's called freedom and flexibility, and typically those personalities are the type of personalities that want to be entrepreneurs. We love the freedom, we love the flexibility. And so I developed a quote that may or may not be my own. But it was, I started saying to myself that the freedom is in choosing to be disciplined. And so once I chose to be disciplined, it was my choice, and it wasn't someone else disciplining me in another full-time job, but I was going to set what I call my minimums. So a lot of times in business, we're always thinking the sky and whatnot. And sometimes that can have, if you're not in the right place, it makes you feel even less than. And so I decided, well, I'm just going to say, if I was an employee of myself, what would be the minimum I would require before I would fire myself? And that, my friend, was one of the other big tips, was identifying that and making sure I never slip below that. So that year I started working towards, doing the minimum I would as an employee for myself. And I always did more than. The key was that I was always growing and I felt good and I had little wins. And so the only way you're going to move out of a stuck place is to have little wins. Mm-hmm. And so I started there. I started building. The other tip I always share is I had to identify if it was this a skill set issue? Was it a mindset issue, or was I stuck and I didn't know what to do? And once you can identify that, then you can clearly identify if you need a business coach, if you need a therapist, or if you just need to get your butt to work. And that was where I was at. And so in that scenario, I didn't need a therapist. I didn't necessarily need a coach. Back in those days, coaching wasn't really a thing yet. I just needed to get to work. And so I started working. That year we doubled. That was the first year I went into Pink Cadillac, and then we wound up doing the trip. And so I was able to grow through some of that ugly baggage that was hung on my hook, get rid of it, do the work, build the self-esteem, build the wins, and have a great comeback.
Yes. Oh, wow. That's incredible. And something that I think a lot of people right now are looking for career opportunities. They're looking to start a side business, or they just started a side business and they're struggling because they don't have somebody telling them, here's the schedule. You need to work these hours. You need to do these certain things. And the freedom without the form of that discipline is it's difficult. It's difficult, and it's difficult to manage everything. Maybe when you're working from home and you have the home distractions versus you're in an office where somebody's watching you and you need to be at your desk working. So
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, and I haven't mastered it to this day, 25 years later. It's just, you kind of know where to focus in a lot better and a lot quicker. But yeah, I call them like little bombs go off. It's the other tip I had to do is I do suffer a little bit of, it's hard to, if you saw my house, you'd be like, what? But I can suffer a little bit of perfectionism in the details. Not that I'm detail oriented, which is really interesting, but like on my date book, like I write everything in pencil because pen is too much pressure. You can't erase it and then it's messy. So I had to learn how to start writing in pencil, and I also started working like in kind of Post-it notes, if that makes sense, where I work in blocks of time. Because if you struggle with any type of perfectionism, then once your day isn't going to according to plan, you're just like all day long, you're like, my whole day keeps just blowing up on me. This appointment scooched to this time, this did that. I mean, it's just like even us getting on for this. I mean, just scheduling errors, then you just get all discombobulated. And so I just had to learn to start, it's moving. But if I have my blocks of time, knowing where to plug in what.
And I'm going to make your day, because they actually have erasable pens in every single color. And I actually use those now because I'm very similar. Yes. And
I give these as gifts. This is one of my IG posts I made, was introducing the world to those. And they have markers, but the markers are heat sensitive. So if it gets hot, they disappear.
And they have highlighters that are actually, and so I've been doing that as well. I have a calendar online, but I need to write it. The fact that I wrote it down keeps it in my mind.
Yeah.
And I just need to, I'm very visual. I need to see it. And so, yes. And I hate to write in the permanent marker, because then I feel like, well, what if they change it? Then it's going to get messy in my book and like nobody's going to see it, but it would bother me. So
yeah. That's the joke. I'm like, all right, I've got you in pen, not pencil, pen.
So, wow. And there was another really good point you made that that was interesting. There's self-discipline, and then there was that point where you were breaking up with this relationship, you're in this relationship, and you were working really hard, but you weren't at the level you wanted to be at, and you were starting out. And a lot of times that's when people give up right before the blessings show up. Let's just say they give up because it gets really hard before it gets easier, especially in a new business or kind of in anything. There's lots of times where it's really difficult, and you're so close. There's 3 feet from gold. Napoleon Hill, Tony Robbins talks about you just need 2 millimeters to go from good to outstanding to having everything. And so it's that little extra when you want to give up. I mean, you were applying for other jobs, and here you are doing incredible in your field. And I know I met you in California and attended some of your events, and actually worked a little bit with your company and helped a lot of young girls that were emancipating from foster care. I did makeovers with them and had a blast, and gifted them the introduction to what you do, and helped them to get started in work and everything else. So it was fun, and I learned so much. You are an incredible businesswoman, and you could have ended up working part-time or full-time for somebody else, never earning what you earned or helping so many.
Yes. And I think that's the big thing. And Sheila, I was always just so drawn to you because you do have such that I want to make a difference in people's lives. And just the way you were just expanding yourself and looking at all the different vehicles and ways to grow and never stop growing. And I love that about you. And there's no doubt you as well are going to be making a huge difference in so many people's lives.
Thank you. Yes. So I'd love to hear more about how you're helping women, specifically that unique part of how you mentor women and what that process looks like.
Well, it's a big process, and it also can be a small process. It depends on what a woman is looking for. So, a lot of times people ask me, well, how many people are successful in Mary Kay? Or what does it take to become successful? And, not to be cheeky, but a lot of times I'll respond back, well, how do you define success?
Mm-hmm.
Because for some people, it's just to make an extra $300, and that's success to them. For other people, it's replacing their job and getting home. For other people, it's not until you make, well into a 6-figure income. So it's different for everyone. So the mentorship process is also very much what someone wants to get out of it, knowing that it's always going to evolve. So typically, when someone comes into the business, when they get started, even if people have been entrepreneurs, even if people have great business experience, our business is still very unique because we wear many hats. So not only are we, teaching skincare and makeup, and people think that you have to be this like product aficionado or like a scientist. I'm like, no, and you don't have to be a makeup artist either. It really is just, you learn that as you go, but really it's more about need benefit, and that we have so many educators that help people find the right product. So when women come in, initially the mentorship is helping them to try to learn how to think like a business person, how to think like an entrepreneur. And oftentimes I will say to people, what you think this is about, it's not what it's about. Mm-hmm. So where people come in and they think, I don't know if I'm going to be good at sales. I don't know if I'm going to be good at getting people to want to buy this stuff. And I'm like, really what your job is not trying to sell the product. Really what your job is finding out if they have a need and then helping them get the product for free. Because really what you want to do is see if you can entice people to get their products for free to help you expand your potential in meeting people who want the product or want the business. Mm-hmm. So it's really not as much of a sales gig as people think it is, but it's really interesting. Because people say to me all the time, Leslie, are you such a great salesperson? And I laugh and I'm like, well, actually, what I hear, what my brain hears, is that you're really great at listening to what people want and helping them get that need filled. Mm-hmm. So mentorship starts with shifting what they think it's about to truly taking a deep interest into what someone is telling them. Have you ever heard like everyone wants to shop, but no one wants to be sold?
Right.
Everyone loves to talk when it's their story. Mm-hmm. And so it's teaching people how to ask better questions. It's teaching people how to start dreaming again. Like a lot of my job is teaching people to make vision boards and dream, not just in this one area in their life, but all areas of their life. and having these compartments and how to create mental strength. And so that's part of the mentorship, as well as just coming and teaching them, here's basic money management, here's basic time management, here's your basic inventory, here's your basic product knowledge, here's your basic makeup training knowledge. So there is all of that mentorship, but we always say that you're in business for yourself, but you're not by yourself. You have a billion-dollar company behind you, and then you have a million people, all over the United States, even internationally, who are willing to work with you. And then you have a hands-on personal mentor as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's so true. And I think I rode in that Cadillac of yours once, and we had so much fun, and we went to an event. And so they have these big, I don't know about now because of COVID, but when the world is open, I'm sure it's online, but they have so many events, and it's connecting women and a lot of support, and it creates this beautiful community of friends. I still have lots of friends that I met in California, in Northern California, and that was, I don't know how many years ago now. And so that is something that really helps. And then as far as being a mom, I know you're a mom because I know you personally, but how does that work with managing your business and raising a child and a household? How does that all fit together?
Beautifully. It's the best. The best analogy that I will share with people is it's messy just like anybody else's. And sometimes we have to step over the mess. You just step over the mess. That was a joke way back in the beginning of business. Like, how do you get it all done? Well, sometimes you just got to step over that laundry. You'll get to it later. Yeah. Other times you can feel like you have this beautiful harmony. So I don't personally use the word balance. I like harmony, which is why sometimes I can step over the mess and sometimes my house can be spotless and completely organized. Yeah. So what does it look like? Well, the reason why I started this business 25 years ago was because my mom was actually a waitress. And she had obviously some flexibility and freedom, but she also missed a lot because of the hours that she worked. And so what it did for me is I always knew I was going to be an older mom. I didn't realize I was going to be this old, but I always knew I was going to be an older mom. And I had made the decision, since I had so many years to work, that I wanted to be home more than I was gone when I had a child or children. Mm-hmm. I wasn't sure what it would look like, but I knew that I wanted to be there more. And so I started building this for that reason, Sheila, like 20 plus years before I actually had a child. And so I was also able to be mentored by all these years of mothers.
Yes.
And watching them build their business and grow their business, watching the mothers whose hearts ached to be at home more from working full-time, letting someone, because they were in a situation where they had another full-time job. So I had all that wisdom of mothers saying, you don't know what you don't know. And so I can share with you wisdom if you're open. Mm-hmm. And so to listen and absorb all that wisdom, because these were people in this company that I respected, that I wanted to be like. And so that's a huge part of the mentorship too, is that you're surrounded by other empowered, powerful women who want to transfer their skill to you. It's not about, oh, this is me, back off, you can't have my job. It's like oozing with, let me share with you how to make your life more enriched and more blessed and what you want it to be. And so I listened to all that. So I started building. Now what it looks like is I went through another divorce. And so we have shared custody with our daughter. And so the way it works for me now, it looks different for everyone. The way it works for me now is I'm just coming off a fresh 5 days with my daughter. And so I really don't work a whole lot when I'm with my daughter. Nice. I kind of work when she's in bed or if she's with a friend playing, because I made the decision I wanted to be 100% present when I'm with her. And that was my decision. And then I work like a crazy woman when I'm not with her, and I do most of my social life and that kind of stuff. And so kind of when she's with me, I step over the laundry. I don't really worry about it. Or that's when I do the laundry and we fold it together. So it's kind of that beautiful harmony of however it's going to look. But now working more virtually, I got to tell you, Sheila, our business is easier than it's ever been to connect with people.
That's great. Yeah. And I know I raised 6 kids. I adopted 3 and 3 from birth. And with that, I always had businesses. I had gift stores. So I was also selling products and it was more about connection to the clients. The reason they bought from my stores, I ended up with 5. The reason they bought from me, and they were like 5,000 square feet each, so they were huge. And the reason they bought from me was because of the sense of community, because they had somebody that was listening to their needs. And sometimes they wouldn't buy much. They'd come in for free tea and a conversation. And Christmas or holiday, they would buy everything. They would give us the list of, here, just get everything for the family, And it was an interesting thing as a mother, because I would share a lot about what I was doing as an entrepreneur with my kids. And I had a special space in the store that was just for children. And it was like educational games, like a knowledge store inside the store with everything else, all the other products. I did a lot of Crabtree and Evelyn was our best-selling fragrance line. So I had different products that we won awards for that. But anyway, the kids would help me order the fun games. Yeah. And with that, they learned, they all have their own little side businesses now. And it's natural because they were part of it, or they got to witness it over time as they got older and contribute to certain things in fun ways like that. And so it really was the best education versus just read some school books. And one day you're going to, they actually see you taking care of your inventory, working with other people, connecting to clients, connecting with the other people that you work with, all these women that you're helping. And so your daughter is learning all this. Your children learn from our example. So it's okay not to hide it from them. But
oh, absolutely. And honestly, listening to you say all this, I'm like, I didn't answer that question very good at all. Actually, I mean, because I don't, where I'm not, I guess to clarify, where I used to have to pack up, drive probably an hour to an appointment, do the appointment for 2 hours and drive home. I'm able to do the appointment now when she's in bed. And nice? So I could just jump on online and do that. But you're right. I did an appointment the other day and I'm doing more with it. I think it was my own hesitancy of always wanting to be so professional. But that I'm doing more where she actually sat on my lap and it was a beauty bash of what's trending. And then it's cute to watch her kind of like rule the situation. She's like, was wanting attention. And I just said, baby, we talked about this and mommy needs to work right now. And I said, can you draw the girls a picture? So she's back and forth drawing pictures, taking orders. She's like, okay, who's next? And so it made it a lot of fun. And then just the other day, you're right. I noticed that she was looking at my vision board in my bedroom. And she took a picture off. It was a picture of like a mom and a daughter, like holding fingers, holding hands. And she's like, Mommy, is this our hands? And I said, well, that's a picture of symbolizing of you and I being best friends and why mommy works and how I work the way I do. Nice. And she just beamed. And so you're right, Sheila. That is definitely more of an accurate answer, that my daughter gets to hear me on the phone. She gets to hear me schedule appointments and explain to her this is why mommy's working. And she is on my lap and she's really actually very well behaved.
Yes. And for men listening in, okay, so this is a company mostly for women that you represent, Mary Kay, but there's also so many ways to bring your children, your family into what you do and share about it. I know what my team leader in Beverly Hills, he has his little son share the positive word for the weekend and get on a little video. And he's part of, talking about it. And this is a big real estate company. And so, but the child's learning, different words, responsibility, respect, each week we have a different focus. And then of course, the team leader goes into all the training beyond that, but it's something that's happening more that brings families together and actually very appreciated and well received.
Sheila, I'm taking a note. That was me taking a note. You just gave me a great idea. See, I love this. You're the expert, my friend. I'm going to have my daughter start sharing either a makeup tip or something that she learned by watching mommy work.
Yeah.
And because my daughter, she watches me do my makeup, so she does makeup with me all the time. So I'm going to have her share a makeup tip or what she's learned. I'm gonna do. Thank you. I like this.
Yeah,
okay.
It's so fun. And and it's something that everybody appreciates. And we, a lot of people have family or a niece or a nephew or somebody, and so they get it. And right now, community is more important than ever. So to be able to be involved with a company or a group of people where you connect while you're making money, while you're learning and growing, and you bring your family in sometimes, and you're able to talk as moms. So what would you say is the most important lesson that you learned about helping parents, moms, women to make that transition from maybe having to work a 9 to 5 they don't love to actually being able to work full time in this and be home, pretty much? What is the secret there? What do you see that was most common that helped them to make that switch?
Okay, I think it comes to more of identifying someone's why. Why are you doing this? Once someone is able to emotionally attach to their why and actually kind of visually see it, they'll go for it. If you're just working because it sounds fun, if you're just working because you want to see where you might be able to go with it, you're only going to go so far when it becomes uncomfortable or when not everything is perfect. So like I see a lot of times in businesses like this, people can come in and, they have a good first month to 3 months, even 6 months, and they can be on this like high. To me, the true test is when someone goes through a hiccup or a setback and they get up and keep going. And so I welcome that. So I think a big thing is for people to have a hiccup or a setback somewhere earlier in their business. So it's not just win, 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 win. And then when they get the win knocked out of them, they don't crumble because they don't know how to handle it. And so I think that's a big one, is to have some type of setback and get up and get over it. The second thing is when you shift from being uber disciplined and you only have these little bits of time to when you are now, your own boss and you have lots of bits of time. It is choosing that, having that conversation of, we have to talk about how you're going to protect your business. And even though you're working from home and you have all this flexibility now, everyone thinks that you don't work. And so rather than calling it your Mary Kay business, you're going to say, I'm going to work. I have to clock in. You talk in terms that other people, the general population, will understand. Because otherwise, well, it's just your business. It's your unit, meaning you can quit. I'm like, no, I have people counting on me. I have to show up. And so it's a non-negotiable. So creating those structures, but it is your choice. And thank heavens, it's only like, I can be sicker than a dog and I'll still get my makeup on. I'll still show up and be like, oh, but you're sick. Don't you take a sick day? I'm like, it's 30 minutes. It's not an 8-hour day, people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That is so interesting and something that we have to learn at first. And the other part is making an appointment with yourself. And that now we're going into the beauty part, the beauty tips part. And the first thing is taking time for yourself and scheduling the appointment. I could say, I'm sorry, but I'm booked in the morning because I have a special appointment with the gym, with with doing my own makeup, with taking a walk with my daughter and my dog, or whatever I have to do. Those are very important appointments. And if I said, I'm just going to go do these things, I'm going to take care of my physical health, I'm going to walk with my family, I'm going to, maybe do a spa day or whatever in the morning for an hour, people don't hear it the same. But it really is so important for your business to be able to give you more productivity, whether you're male or female listening in, to have that time for self-care, for wellness, for family. And people don't hear it the same way as if I have an important business meeting. And somehow we're not as important as the business meeting. How is this possible? So
well, there's a difference between self-care and self-indulgence. And I think people kind of conflate the two. And so, yeah, and everyone's going to define that level of self-care differently. So it's having clarity on your why. And, my nutrition and my health, I'm very extreme with what I will put into my body and what I eat. And the why is because I'm an older mom and I want to live as much life as I can with my daughter. And so I take my health very seriously. And so it's a different perspective of just trying to have a good body or be healthy. It's like, oh no, I'm like, I want to see her. I want to see her be a mom. I want to be a grandma. And so it's a different mindset. And so it's the same thing like with business, when you're clear. And I think that's part of what makes this business so beautiful when women come in as part of that mentorship is you don't have to pay for all this free mentorship and coaching where we ask you those questions and it evolves and it grows and there's so much depth in that.
Yes, I love that. And so I would love to hear a little bit about the makeup side, about how you're helping people with skincare routines and self-care, and how that transpired over the years.
Okay. Yes. Well, I don't know if you remember this. I will kind of know by when I hear working out the gym. I've always been a tomboy. I mean, I'm a huge athlete. I wear, ball cap and, just workout clothes, but I also can go straight from a ball cap and workout clothes into, stilettos and a ball gown. So it's this very fun shift of who I am that I can do both things. So I totally lost when I was thinking about that. What did you ask me again?
So how did you, over the years, how did you get into figuring out the skincare, people with all that,
That was just like any job. It's just like any job. We get kind of certifications, you get degrees. When I came in, I knew nothing. I mean, it was atrocious. Like back in those days, we used to do a lot of before and after pictures with makeup. We did a lot more with makeup 25 years ago. And I remember going into Walmart to pick up my before and after pictures and like literally looking at them and like, oh, and leaving because I didn't want anyone to link me with those pictures. They were just not good. I didn't know anything about makeup. We had highlighter. My mom had like highlighter up to her, forehead. What it did for me was like, okay, I need to like figure some basics out here. So I remember going to the library and I actually checked out a book. We didn't really have Google in those days. So I actually checked out a makeup book. And I remember to this day sitting down and reading it and comparing pictures and looking at the different eye shapes and coming home and trying it on myself and then trying it on other people. And that's how I got good, was through practicing. And that was actually one of my best booking tools, honestly, was to meet someone kind and wonderful and say, hey, you know what? I'm, learning about makeup artistry, how to work with different features and eye shapes. And I need real people to practice on because paper's just not cutting it. Can I bribe you with some free product to kind of let me play with makeup on your face? And women would be like, yes. And I'm like, okay, I promise I'll give it back better than you gave it to me. Like, it won't be like destroyed or anything, but we'll both learn a lot. And that was how I started building that honest, real connection with people and learning and practicing. And same thing with skincare. It was just learning about the frustrations. I have very challenging skin. I mean, I'm like bone dry. I'm very type A, get a lot of topical like allergies, so dermatitis, eczema, all those things. Tinea versicolor. I've had a lot of different skin things, so it's easy for me to see in other people. And then because of that, then when consultants train with me and I do appointments with them, I'm able to transfer all that knowledge to them because they can see it and I can point it out, and it makes them feel more educated as well. And so it's partly researching and realizing what you're not good at, and rather than shying away from it, figure out how you can be trained better. It's a skill, right? And then the other side of it was just experience of being in the field and doing it.
Nice. I don't know, for me, I feel better when I'm a little bit, dressed up, even if I go to remodel a building. Years ago, I would buy and sell commercial buildings, and I would remodel a 4,000 or 12,000 square foot building. And if I was not dressed nice, even though it was a painting kind of an outfit, I didn't feel as happy, and nobody saw me. It was just for myself. I think that sounds bizarre, but there's something about that. And this last year where people were on lockdowns and maybe they didn't have to get dressed up, just getting dressed up to go outside to the mailbox was like, okay, here I am. And it changes your state. Tony Robbins talks a lot about changing our state change. And so that's something, little things like that can make all the difference in how you feel about yourself. And then that energy shows up for your family, your friends. It was like night and day. I was like, I know this is stupid, but I gotta, like do my hair up and like put on some makeup to go paint this building. And I would be doing like the fine painting and design painting and this and that, but I had to, and it was ridiculous. But for me, I was like, it's okay because it works for me. I'm happier. It's bizarre.
Well, it kind of goes back to the very beginning of understanding, are you stuck? Is it a skill set or is it a mindset? And so different ways that you can move yourself through that. I mean, right before this, I was kind of halfway done. I went on, put on my big old earrings, and I put on my professional business jacket. And yeah, just sitting here does. It gives you this sense of, yeah, I forgot about this great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And it does make a big difference. And I think too, I think a lot of women in their mind, they have the story that to get ready, it's a big ordeal. And actually on my Instagram account, I've made a couple posts about here are some quick hacks to get ready quickly, from lipstick lip on your cheek to wearing a bright color on your lips so you look more polished to, 7 products that'll make a huge difference for you. And so I think that it's having someone that you can connect with, reach out to, and say, hey, here's my face, here's my lifestyle, here's my budget, and here's what I'm really probably going to do. What can you work with me on that? And that's where when you're working with someone who is in the industry, and that's our business, is to build that relationship and listen, then it doesn't matter what you see on YouTube. It doesn't matter what Good Morning America is promoting. It's about let's be real. Let's be authentic about what's in your bathroom and what are you not using and what is the hang up. And that's where I come in, Sheila. That's where I come in on that side of my business, is to say, okay, so what I'm hearing is, while you want to look like a supermodel, you're not willing to take the time to do that, but you are willing to wash your face and put on 2 or 3 products. Okay, so I need to get the most maximum I need to get the products that can give you the most maximum benefit. And interestingly, what's trending right now is women want products that make life easier, and they want products that multitask. And what's interesting too in our industry is lipstick sales, cosmetic sales have not decreased at all. We have seen a major increase in at-home treatments like glycolic acid peels, we call it mask acne, products that are going to treat the mask acne, to the biocellulose facial mask. So they're looking for at-home treatments, but women are also a little cautious because I don't want to get ripped off. I don't want to waste my money, and I don't want my face to fry. So again, working with a personal consultant, that's where we come in to listen. Well, are you someone who's going to do this product in the shower? Are you someone who likes to take that 10 minutes and do it while you're drinking your coffee in the morning? And that alone makes a difference. Or people say, oh, I got this product. I'm like, but what you were telling me is you want this result. Do you realize that product doesn't give you this result?
Yes.
And that's a big bridge that I help women, I close the gap on that bridge where they're buying products because it's the trend, but it's not the best product for them in their age group as well. Because now we're going to bubble a whole nother bag of chips. And this is, Sheila, when you start dealing with 20s, 30s, 40s, and Lord have mercy, when we go into our 50s and above, it's different ball game. Where you put your products on your face. I did a makeup overhaul on myself, Sheila, last year. Because I was noticing I was always known for my little cat eye. I always did a cat eye. And I was realizing I have a sad cat. My cat's not perky anymore. My little cat's like droopy. And it was because it's what happens, right? And so I had to sit down with one of my girlfriends who's also a makeup artist in Mary Kay. And I said, tell me, what am I missing here? And she just a couple little tweaks showing me how to cross use some of our products in different places. And I'm telling you what, it was like instant. People that I knew were saying, what are you doing different?
Right.
And all I could do was laugh. I was like, they're like, did you do? I'm like, no, I didn't. I didn't go under the knife. I didn't do that. I'm like, I was just placing the products where they belong for your age group. So it depends on your age. It depends on your lifestyle. It depends on your budget. And it depends on your timeline. All those is where, someone like me comes in to do it. Because I'm not here just to sell you product over the counter. I'm here to build a relationship.
Yes, I love that. And I mean, that mask, you said the acne mask, that I know just from my own grown children, they're like, what is this? I'm not supposed to have acne. I'm in my late 20s. It's like, well, yes, if you have to wear a mask at work, I don't have to wear a mask all day. So I'm really fortunate. Right. But when I go to public places, I do, of course. But some of them actually, they're getting this and it's a big issue. So that's something they're going to be ordering today for that.
It's a big issue. And then we have to check to make sure it's not, a lot of people are getting perioral dermatitis from it too. And so there's there's a bunch of stuff. So again, it's helpful to have someone who can take a quick look at it, who's, you don't have to pay for the dermatologist. You don't have to pay for all these prescriptions because again, there's a difference between medicine and healing. That's a whole nother show, I'm sure. But there's a difference between medicine and healing and knowing when the right choice needs to be made there. But yes, so for the mask acne, it's a real thing and there are real products to do with it.
Yes, yes. And I think, I don't know, for me, I really enjoyed learning about the makeup application and this and that with the group, when I was working with your group a little bit. And it was so fun and helpful. I cut my makeup application time down to like under 10 minutes. Sometimes it could be 5. And it's like,
Mhm.
it looks, people are like, "Oh, I didn't put on makeup today like you did. You look great." And I'm like, "Thank you." But it was that difference
Yeah.
of knowing, of just having somebody help you with the right color, with the right, application, and somebody that's working in the industry that can help you with that, I think makes all the difference, because then it's easy at home.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
important.
And that's the perk of being more virtual, because I tell women, let's just go in your bathroom. Let's just go in the bathroom, and they're in the mirror. I'm like, up a little bit higher. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. You did it. So it's just kind of coached them through it. And, it's also no shock too, beyond the mask acne, a lot of people, the most common thing I hear people share to me is my skin is sensitive. And what I'm finding is that when I educate people, define sensitive, and then they explain just a lot of products irritate my skin or how they do it. Most people aren't truly sensitive as far as like a reaction with welts and hives. Most people's skin is sensitive because 85% of our aging is coming from the external environment. Only 15% is genetics. So 85%, for those of us who don't have great genetics, we can minimize aging by 85%, which is the products you're choosing. And so the environment it's toxic. I mean, there's a lot of pollutants and chemicals and pollens, and there's the environment, the nanoparticles. All of that is getting on your skin. And so having the right tools, like a face brush, not just any face brush, but a face brush that has enough of those sonic movements to actually get those nanoparticles off of your skin. It's amazing the difference it makes. And then getting the right type of product, whether it's the right primer or the right type of CC cream or foundation for your environment that you're living in with your lifestyle, it all comes together. But to be able to educate women, 85% is the environment, my friend. You've got like a huge win here. We just got to match it up.
Nice. Yes, that's so important. And do you have a story about maybe somebody in your team that was really inspirational, that maybe was able to get out of a tough situation? Maybe they got divorced, or they were in a not a happy home. You don't have to say a name, but maybe, and they were able to use this opportunity to start their business and rebuild their life.
Yes. Gosh, they're all over. I mean, even if you just go to marykay.com, they have like our national stories are always highlighted. And I would say pretty much most of the women that are very successful in Mary Kay weren't born with a silver spoon in their mouth. They didn't have an easy road. And I think that's what makes it so amazing when you get to know these people who show up like a shiny penny and you get to really hear the backstory. Most of us are what I call overcomers. We're overcomers. And those are the people who do really well in a business like this.
Yeah.
So the story was, there was a girl on my team. I met her at an appointment, and it's just someone that she caught my eye. We talked about the business, and she didn't have the money. And so rather than, just no big deal or see you later, we stayed in contact. We became friends on Facebook. And then one day she popped up months later and she said, "I don't know if you remember me, but I've been watching you and I want to do this. How can maybe we fit this into my budget?" So we decided we'd break up into payments, which shows a lot of drive right there, that she was willing to break it up into payments to get her starter kit. She came into the organization. I did a debut launch for her. And as the relationship grew, she became very passionate. I feel the emotion coming on. She became very passionate because our company has a huge foundation, the Mary Kay Charitable Foundation. It kicks back 97% of the money it collects to break the silence on domestic violence and cancer research for cancers that specifically affect women. And she was a child who was abused. And she was a child who then had to go into, the foster system, and, went through that whole process, more abuse in those foster homes.
Yeah.
To her mother finally being able to get her out and, reconnecting. And so when she came into this business, through the mentorship, through the coaching, through having the why, She was able to identify what was going to drive her to work when the tornadoes, the storms of life came up, and how she was not going to give any power to the abuse that she endured.
Yes.
And so she became an advocate for reaching out to women to build her business through basically sharing with people. I have a story to share. 1 out of 5 women are affected. Would you team up with me, have an appointment, and see whose lives we could release from shame or touch? And so that became her, kind of like her platform. And so it wasn't about selling Mary Kay.
Right.
It wasn't about, making the world beautiful. It was a lot of women or men, too. But she's like, women are going to be my benchmark. And she said there's a lot of women who are suffering from shame and guilt, and they don't have a place to share that trauma with. And she's like, and if I can get into their home and use these products to connect with them, and I could direct them in the right place or give them a safe place to share, she's like, that's what I want to do with my life.
Beautiful.
And so it was beautiful watching her, all the healing that she had when she realized her why, and how she could utilize this platform. And so I always tell people again, Sheila, it's not about selling Mary Kay. It's not about what people think it's about.
Exactly.
It's whatever you want in life. You just need a platform. You just need a racetrack to go get it. I mean, I'm like a health person. I'm a fitness person. And so people are like, why aren't you in that type of industry? I'm like, it doesn't give me the platform. This is where God wanted me, honestly. It doesn't give me the platform. And I do love this industry too. But it's just beautiful how it can mesh and move through all of those things.
Yes, it really can. And people feel the heart. They feel the heart of, going from, if anybody's ever read the Mary Kay story, just the heart of why she started the business and to help all these women and in contribution. And I think that's just continued over the years, and it makes a big difference for so many families. It's the women and it's the families that are affected, where mom can be home or home more often and able to be present, or maybe if they have to leave something that's not healthy for them and their children, they have a way to earn money and still be with their families. So that is something that is so important. Very, very important.
I do. And I love it a lot of times when I get up on stage to speak, I'm kind of known for sharing things that people are like, oh, I can't believe you just shared that. But it's about, that was kind of my thing too. It's like, shame is where sin is bred. And if you can give a light, it's amazing how many people step into it and just say, thank you. Thank you for sharing the thing or something that just made me feel like I could breathe and that I'm okay here and I can do this business, even with all these things. I'm like, absolutely, you can.
Right.
So it's who you are. You don't have to change who you are. It's being more aware of who you'd like to become.
Very good. And we are coming to the end of our talking time. So I'd love for you to share about how people can connect with you, learn more about what you do, and if they're interested, how to get started, perhaps.
Yeah. I think the best way to get in touch with me, because like my website is actually, it's the Mary Kay shopping website. You can definitely get to me there. But a better way is just like what's right here on the screen is my IG. It's at Leslie Bodine. I'm LESLEY BODINE. And so the Instagram is good. You can also find me on Facebook. And you can also find me on the marykay.com site as well. And so, yeah, if you want to reach out to me, whether it's about makeup tips for whatever age group you're in, what ingredients you need to be using for your age group to get the best results, whether it is how to maybe put something like this in your life and have clarity on what your why is and what the benefits will be, and know that you don't have to do anything you're not ready to do, but when we're clear about what you want to get, I'll partner with you to do that for sure.
Beautiful. All right. Well, thank you again, Leslie. It was wonderful to connect with you and have you as a guest on the show. Absolutely. And for those tuning in, we'll be back after these messages. Stay tuned.
And back by popular demand, I am offering the Bootstraps and Bra Straps book club for your group. your team. And this is a great way to get started going through the Boots formula to help you rebuild, reboot, and reinvent your business and personal life on your terms with a group of friends. The book club meets by phone one time per week, and we start a new session each month going through the book. So if you want to sign up, you can message me at dearsheila.com, and in the comments write book club, and somebody on my team will get back to you to get you started. Welcome to Dear Sheila, answering real questions with real solutions to help reboot your life. My career got taken out. How do I reinvent my work life? Dear Sheila, after dedicating my time and life to a company this year, after 22 years, my employer went out of business. Now I'm struggling to start over again, reinvent my life, and figure out how to step into a similar career. I'm very qualified yet close to retirement age, and it seems impossible to find any wage that matches my experience. My question is, what can I do at the age of 53 to restart in the work world while not burning out? Signed, Jobless at 50-something. Dear Jobless at 50-something, this is definitely the time for rebooting and reinventing your career and life on your terms. Often in the case of having to start over in a career, some reinvention is necessary. With your experience and connections in the field, you can use this time as an opportunity to design your work and life. Let's run this situation through the Boots formula. Throughout life, one can find themselves facing a difficult situation that often catches them by surprise. Over the years, I saw the patterns in all the times I've had to reboot, and in how I've helped my friends and clients get through a hard time and quickly back into action. Ultimately, I came up with the Boots formula. The B in the Boots formula is for being. It is about who you are being and all you are doing and who you need to be in this situation. You are going to have to be authentic and creative with how you design your new work life. At this point in your career, you may be the exact person to advise and help a new business get started. Write out a perfect day at your new dream job. What would that day look like? Would you be an advisor in a similar position or an entrepreneur? Who are you being in this vision? Being honest about who you must be in your search is key. The O in the Boots formula is for orientation. To get the outcomes you desire, you must be honest here. It is not better than it is, nor is it worse than it is. It simply is what it is. Make a list of your resources. Who do you know in the industry, similar industries, and what are your former coworkers doing? Again, be really honest about your outcomes, the outcomes you want. The next O in the Boots formula is for order of operations. Now that you know who you need to be and your orientation, you can decide in which order you must do things. You may need to take on part-time work. Be okay with that and proud of yourself for moving forward. If you do take an in-between position, do not stop applying to the dream job. In the long run, the order in which you do things is going to really drive your results. The T in the Boots formula is for thinking. This is where your mindset comes in. Stop waiting for the perfect new position to show up before you're happier. Choose to live in a grateful and happy state now and in each step in this process. When you go in for interviews or build your own company, your new employer or client will feel your energy. Be so proud of yourself for stepping up and designing your new work life. You will find as you choose your happiness now and express your truth and essence, the position that you are seeking will find you. The S in the Boots formula is for stepping up. This is the part that puts all the other pieces you have planned into place and gets you and your work life back into action. The time is now for us to collectively work together to rebuild this year. My hope is that this video series and my new book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, helps. If you are just tuning in, this is NBC's Sheila Mack Show here on KCAA Radio, the station that leaves no listener behind. I'm your host, Sheila Mack, and I am wishing you happy holidays because this is the crazy kickoff season where holidays have already began. And we are going into Halloween, Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, New Year's, you name it. And depending on how you spend your holidays, it's a great way to prepare for your new year now. Don't wait until after the holidays and say, oops, I gained 20 pounds. Or don't wait until after the holidays to finally decide what you're going to do with your business or your personal life. If you start now a little bit at a time, you will have even more success in 2023. So I invite you to tune in. I am now going global with the show, as well as having all the recordings available on my YouTube channel, Sheila Mack Show, at Sheila Mack Show. That's on YouTube, Sheila Mack Show. And also, if you subscribe and listen in, we are going to have a countdown toward the new year, getting through the holidays, ways to get back into the business of your best life. And that means for your career, for your business, and how the interconnectedness of it all relates to your life. We're not just somebody that goes to work or has a job or has a business or a career. Every piece of our life affects every other piece of our life. So if you're having relationship troubles, it's going to affect your business or your career. If you have success in your business, but you're suffering with your home life or your physical health is not doing well because you don't give yourself time for self-care and wellness, if your spiritual health, if you're not taking a walk in nature or connecting to source or meditating or whatever that is for you, there's a piece that's missing. And sometimes, especially during times like this where inflation is beyond interesting, it is freaking crazy that, we're working so hard to get some extra money to just pay the normal bills or buy all those extra groceries. So making small changes truly will make a difference. And it doesn't seem that way. It's counterintuitive to think that taking care of yourself is going to give you more business success or more career success. Yet it truly is if you put it to the test, and we'll be discussing that more on the show, and also if you go to YouTube at Sheila Mack Show. All right, stay tuned for more.
So here it is, my latest book. I have to let you know something, just between you and me. This book is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation.
To grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available on Audible as well as on Amazon and Kindle, and at www.sheilamack.com.